Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand Fans Forum. Manchester United 4, Wolves 3. What a game. Absolutely insane game, and thankfully Manchester United come out with the win, which I feel like in the end was definitely deserved. But we're going to get into all of the madness, everything that was involved in that game. It was an absolute cracker and I'm just very happy that we won it. So we've got Faz, Kev and Ricky. Ricky, starting off with you. Kobbie Mainoo wins it at the end. What a player.
We've got an absolute gem on our hands. An absolute gem, you can see. I just love the way he plays the game. All the simple touches and realises when to pass it, when to hold it. And then he's got that little bit of, well, not a little bit of something about him, he's got that extra bit of something about him where he can do things like that. Absolutely brilliant. And then to listen to his interview after the game as well, loved him. You know, proper got his feet on the floor.
He's just, you can tell how humble he is, and you can already tell he's got the right mentality.
I don't think he'll be going on the piss in Belfast when he's 27 anyway.
Oh God, Ricky. Well,
26, whatever it is.
We can get onto that, but Mainoo, just absolute clutch moment, and he deserved it. A good performance again from him, like he is nearly every game. But on top of it, like how many times in the game were we saying, you know, Rolls Royce, and he was just brilliant. And you know what, everyone, as well, a player that Ricky agrees with us is quality. So
that's the first on the United Stand.
Yeah, I've got to ask the question, by the way. He plays the game like I like to see the game played, so why do you all like him? That's the question. That's the question. Doesn't play like Bruno, does he?
We'll talk about Mainoo a lot more, but his future is insane. I mean, Bruno Fernandes was talking about him, saying he'd heard of him when he was watching the youth team, and then Hoyland after the game was speaking to TNT, and he was saying he didn't see him in pre-season because he arrived after, obviously, unfortunately got injured, but the lads were telling him what a generational talent he is, and Ten Hag clearly had plans for him then, and he's just come into his first team, and that's worth more than £100 million midfielder signing, genuinely. It's like, you look at Chelsea, they've paid, 130 for Enzo Fernandez, they paid 115 for
Caicedo.
I don't know how much they paid for Enzo, but it was definitely in the 100 million mark. It's over 200 million. I take Mainoo over. He said you can have, if they said to you can have Caicedo and Enzo for Mainoo, I'd say nah, no thank you. Wouldn't even take the double for him. So brilliant stuff. I mean, Kev, all in all, the game was, you thought at the first half, you know, Manchester United, they should have scored more chances, but we'll probably go into the second half, score a couple more goals, easy day at the office. And then, you know what they say, 2-0, the most dangerous scoreline in football.
Sure is. There is, Manchester United just never make things easy for themselves, do they? And how many times this season, I'm at the point, I know, I don't want to get burnt. I've been burnt before. It's almost like that girlfriend that cheats on you. You're like, they're liable of doing this again. You know, a leopard never changes its spots. And to get into that sort of 2-0 position, it was the same against Newport, but it's different opposition against Wolves. So I'm looking at it and thinking at the half an hour mark, this is brilliant. You know, why couldn't we have done this all season? But I have always said, judge Erik Ten Hag on when he's got his strongest 11. And whether anybody agrees with this, I would say on paper that arguably that is United's probably strongest 11. We went out there, we dictated the play, you know, possession stats were off the scale, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant to watch. As a United fan, you'll look at it and go, why have we not been doing this so often? But again, I will hark back to the fact that he's got a full strength team now to choose from. The likes of Luke Shaw, Martinez and Varane at the back, totally transformed Manchester United, so it gives us a base. And I know some people will say, Ricky might even say, well, we've conceded 3 goals this evening. Right, fair enough, but at half-time, and the one criticism of Manchester United has been, we're not clinical. And the chances that fell in that first half, it wouldn't have been, we should have been out of sight. We should have been 4, maybe even 5-0 at half-time. We didn't take them chances for some reason. And whether it's a mentality thing, mindset thing, we've allowed kind of Wolves to come back into this game. But to win it in that style, it shows, I sound like Brendan Rodgers, great character. It shows great character to do it in that style. You know, being brought up in the Sir Alex Ferguson era, Manchester United did this, you know, on a weekly basis. The one thing I would say is that for 1 minute, I'm not going to sit on here and say everything's fine. You know, we move on to the next game, because against West Ham, if we don't get anything out of this game at the weekend, this means nothing this evening. But tonight, we can celebrate. It's a great result. It's always great to win a game like that. And Mainu, quite rightly, will get all the headlines. And so he should. He's 18. I was on the United stand ages ago comparing him in a way to Jude Bellingham, which everybody shot me down. Not you lot, I mean like on social media when you get home and you open up your phone and I'm like, oh, here we go. And everybody's like, Kev, you're getting ahead of yourself. I didn't mean it in terms of talent and that. I just mean the way he goes about the game. He's 18 years old and he doesn't look out of place in that Manchester United team.
And as well, when you talk about someone who just, like you said, doesn't look out of place, but in terms of mentality and knows what he has to produce on a football pitch, you can tell even in his post-match interview that his head's screwed on. And I just think the future for him is absolutely huge. And I tell you one thing, I mean, I know not everyone in the chat will be England fans, but Gareth Southgate, take Calvin Phillips over Mainu in the summer, and honestly, I'll lose my head, genuinely. I'm not saying Mainu should be starting, but I think he should be on the plane. Like, genuinely, he's talented enough.
If he keeps on the way that he's performing at the minute, you know, he's above average every week.
And he's the future for England, so why not take him to a major tournament? So.
Exactly. He has to go. But that's a debate for another day. We know what Gareth Southgate's like. He's got his favourites, the people that he can rely on. If he thinks for 1 minute that Calvin Phillips at this moment in time is ahead of Mainu, it's a heads gone moment.
I mean, we're going to get into all the different types of players today, the defence, the midfield, the attack, but Faz, overall, you know, it was 3-3 there at one point, and I think the reaction would have been very, very different. And not in terms of the fact it's reactionary, but I think a lot of us still would be sat here saying that's probably the best first half of football he's played all season. It's progress. But how do we always let games slip like that? So for you, evaluate, one, how you think Erik ten Hag's best 11 played, and two, maybe the naivety that we showed in the second half.
I think first and foremost, the first 45 minutes that we played, it showed that there's a way that we're playing. The players are able to find each other easily. We're controlling the game. At times, little bits in the first half, you saw, you know, Wolves trying to control the tempo a bit more, bring the game towards us, try and create chances. But again, having that solid backline helped us for sure. But it's 45 minutes that we can look back and say, wow, it was positive considering the seasons we've had. But we've also still got to play 45 minutes in the second half, if not more. Actually, you ended up playing 50, 60 minutes. So it's important that we can continue that sort of momentum in the second half, because you said before 2-0 is the worst scoreline in football and teams can come back. And Man United, the one thing is we capitulate once we concede, right? If we concede early, if we concede, you know, later on in the game, we start to capitulate. And it was moments in the second half where I thought maybe we needed to calm the ball down, and there's just so many passes, the clinicalness that Kev mentioned, there's so many passes that we're making the wrong decision. Bruno Fernandes being the number one today. Out of everyone that we played so well in the first half and the team performed so well, those sorts of things from the captain, you know, needs to be spoken about, especially in a game like today when Man United played so well, and that's the strongest 11. In our strongest 11, if Bruno Fernandes, who's one of our strongest players, isn't able to perform at a set level, then he's of no good to Manchester United. And that's why I think it was a couple of weeks ago when I said I'd be really happy if we sold Rashford and Bruno Fernandes, and I'd give the manager another season. That was really bad from Bruno. And I don't want to make it about him because the team performed well. In certain games, you have to rely on individual brilliance. Got not lucky, but you know, Scott McTominay comes on, gets us a corner, helps us get a corner, gets the goal. It was all good. You know, Onana's save with his head, with his face. Little bits of luck is important, but Bruno Fernandes today was so poor in Man United's strongest team, when all season we've been saying if he has the right back line, if he has the right wingers, the right players, if everything is set up, then he'll perform well. He cannot have this sort of performance again, not with this starting 11. It's inexcusable.
Interesting stuff. Seth Walter says Antony and Onana have been poor signings, really need to be evaluated in the summer. I mean, you can't win them all with your signings, but I agree. They have both been poor signings so far. Terence Roberts says Mainu and Rasmus are the guys to build a team on. The youth shining through is really exciting. Wayne Finnegan says, yes, Kev, you're legend. Josh Botang, to my Ghanaian brother Kobe, I love you. Andy Kane, thank you. Daniel Sturtridge, want to hear your general thoughts on United. Well, we're going to get into everything. Akash Paul says, The time has come to drop Onana for the next few games. We should have won 4-0. We made hard work for this result. Bad game management. Menu is pure class. I mean, we will talk about Onana and we'll talk about Antony because I know they're the negatives of today as well. But I want to talk about a positive, really. And Kev, Marcus Rashford, a lot of people were shocked when he was on the team sheet. And everyone said, including myself, well, not everyone, but a lot of people said, including myself, he has to put in a shift today, he has to put in a good performance. Is that what you want to see from Rashford to bounce back?
I'm not going to lie to you. When I seen the starting 11, obviously the team news was breaking. I was obviously watching the build-up show. I seen your reaction to it. When I heard that Marcus Rashford was in the starting 11, I'm thinking it's a huge call. Because it's pressure on Erik ten Hag. He has made this choice. We know the bad press that he's had this week. Now, for me personally, I said in the build-up to this, you don't put him anywhere near that team. I don't know what kind of a message that sends out to anybody else that's in the team. I'm hearing this counter-argument that apparently against Newport, he made himself available, and Erik ten Hag said, no, this is the game that you dropped for. But again, I just think it was such a huge thing. And to have that pressure on him today, Marcus Rashford, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, right, it's on him. A bit like Antony when he started against Newport. I'm thinking it's quite a big thing. If Antony doesn't perform, then Erik ten Hag, it's on the player, it's on Erik ten Hag's decision. Ten Hag has got it right. I think he's got it right.
Starting Rashford?
Yeah, because in theory, I look back on it and I think it was wrong. But he's got a shift out of Marcus Rashford today. Now, I'm not for 1 minute suggesting that the best thing for him might be to every Thursday night get on a jet and go to Belfast, and miss training on a Friday if he's going to perform like that, because it does not work like that. The thing is, Marcus Rashford hasn't been good all season. Of course he had a point to prove today. He's got a huge point to prove because he's been on the front and back pages all week. And every Manchester United fan has been discussing this. And this is because he brought this upon himself. I think he's let everybody down, the fans, the manager, his players, everyone involved with Manchester United. And I've gone as far as to say I do think he's done at Manchester United, but he's put in a performance this evening, the kind of performance that you would expect from a Manchester United player. I don't want to sound like Roy Keane here, just saying he's just doing his job, he's going out there, but that is what you expect from Marcus Rashford. If I'm Ten Hag this evening, I say to Marcus Rashford, well done, whatever, but at the same time I say consistency is the key now. You have to be doing this every week. It's no good just doing it now because the pressure's on. You're getting bad PR, the newspapers, front, back page. You have to be doing it every single week. This is the standard you have to meet. He made the right decisions today. I've been critical of him before, saying in the area, in the box, it breaks down because he's making the wrong choices. And part of me is a bit sceptical, I think. Well, how's he just managed to turn it on after his so-called week from hell? And he can do it like that today. But listen, he's scored a great goal. He played really well. I've got no argument against him.
Well, honestly, that performance today from Rashford for me is like that's what I know Rashford can do. Like that goal outside from the box, that's his bread and butter. He's so good at that sort of finish, and it was an excellent finish. But more than that, the way he played throughout the game, he was making the right passes. Okay, yeah, maybe he overran the ball a couple of times, but he beat quite a few players, and he just looked on form. He was tracking back really well. I
do you know what
he
it
was
is,
going
Beth?
into headers, and I think if you can do that, please just do it every week because he's capable.
And the sad thing is, you
keep
look
finding
at it,
him 650 grand every month, and I'm sure he will.
He looked interested. And that's a horrible thing to say about a Manchester United player. He actually looked interested, looked like he was putting in a shift. He worked well with Luke Shaw. You look at the second goal, Luke Shaw overlaps. Rashford again makes the right decision, plays the ball in, Højlund gets the goal, and you're looking at little things like this. But the one thing for me is, why is he not doing that every week? Is it too much to expect? He's on the most money, weekly wages at Manchester United, the so-called pin-up boy and that.
I think Casemiro's on more than him.
I just hope, he's on 375k a week, Rashford, I think.
325 years.
I thought it was 37.
No, because he got 650, 2 weeks' wages.
Oh, okay.
He's on a hell of a lot of money.
He's on a lot of money anyway, isn't he? But But you
Not
know,
worrying about his phone bill, is he?
more like the private jet bill at the end of the month. But no, on a serious level though, with Rashford, I just hope that this is the kind of kick up the backside realistically that he needed to light that spark in him, and I hope I see more of this. I hope I see more of that. I want to see it because I want him to be doing well, because you know he's had so much support from the fan base, and he has had some really great seasons for Man United. This season's been a poor one. He's made some mistakes, but let's bounce back from it and let's have a great rest of the season, and hopefully he can kick on because we know what he's capable of. But before we move on, does anyone have anything left to say on Rash?
The thing is, I said it before on the build-up, right? If you strip away the antics and the newspapers and whatever, you know, you find him, he's done something, you find him 2 weeks later, okay, cool, that's done. Now you're selecting the team. On a footballing perspective, are you going to pick Rashford or Antony? It's going to be Rashford.
Obviously
Are you going to
Rashford.
pick Rashford or Ahmad? You're going to pick Rashford. Are you going to pick Rashford or Garnacho? You're going to pick Rashford on that side. Then you go to the other side, then you go through the rest of the wingers. I think that's why he picked Rashford. So from a footballing decision, it makes sense. But from an overall organisation perspective, it doesn't. And can you treat every player the same? No, you can't. Is he probably favouring Rashford a bit more than others? Yes, he is. Do other managers do that? Yes, they do. So it is what it is.
And the one thing that we don't know that has happened behind closed doors was obviously this meeting at Carrington with him, you know, his brother who's his agent. How do we know that Marcus Rashford might have sat in front of Ten Hag and the Manchester United hierarchy? For all we know, he might have broke down and said, I am, you know, really... I know a lot of people are saying about Rashford and apology doesn't mean anything. How do we know he's not broken down and said that he has got some kind of problem? You know, he's had a blowout, you know, whatever's going on in his personal life, and has kind of said, you know, I need help or whatever. But mainly, the main thing that Eric Ten Hag would have wanted to know from Marcus Rashford is, are you United? You know, are you part of this team? And do you want to carry on? Now, if Rashford's response is, listen, I'm here, I'm going to give it me all, then from Ten Hag's point of view, he's put so much faith in him.
He took a risk and it paid off, Ricky.
Definitely paid off. It definitely paid off. He was, you know, he took his goal really well. But what I was trying to explain about that goal is it really is a funny old game. Like, he's not been playing great. He has scored 2 or 3 goals in his last 3 or 4 games, but over the course of the season, he's not really played that well. And a lot of people are unhappy, not just with him not scoring goals, but with his performance not being good. Now, that layoff tonight by Højlund, the ball is rolling towards Rashford. If you think about usually when he gets his shots in, usually it's him running with the ball and taking a shot on, and the ball's under your feet. When the ball's rolling to you, you've got much more purchase on it. It's got a little bit more, it's coming at you. So you put your weight against that's coming to you, and it'll fly.
Physics.
It'll fly a lot more easily because the pace on the ball.
I never knew you were a science teacher.
That little bit of pace on the ball that's rolled to him. I kid you not, I scored dozens of goals like that when I was playing.
I can imagine.
I kid you not, because it comes to you on the edge of the box. If people say it's a great goal, I'm not decrying it. It is a great goal. It's a great goal. It's a relatively easy goal if you know what you're doing. You know, the ball's got that little bit of weight on it. You've not got to hit it with your laces. You can hit it with the inside of your foot. You can start it just outside the post. And the reason I'm explaining this, I'm not taking anything away from him. What I'm saying is, when it's going against you, in all the games where he's played badly, he'd have scored that chance then. But that chance didn't come in them games. Do you understand what I mean? It's a mad old game, it is. If Højlund would have laid a ball, when we got beat by Crystal Palace 1-0, if he'd have had that exact same chance against then in that game, which I can't remember the game, but he probably had a stinker, he'd have scored that day as well. Yeah. Do you understand what I mean? So sometimes it works for you, but you get a chance. I'm not saying...
I thought Ricky said something interesting actually in the build-up, and it was... The main thing about Rashford is the fact that he hasn't been doing it on the field. I think some supporters might have turned a little bit of a blind eye to what maybe happened if he was doing it on the field. And you mentioned the likes of, well, even we talk about United players, Wayne Rooney's been brought into this, and you think he made the headlines. What was it, Danny Higginbottom? Remember the boxing? You know, and he made the front pages or whatever morning it was, it landed and he's laying on the kitchen floor flat out. But Rooney's response to that was to go out in the next game that weekend, score a goal, and then do that celebration and literally fall on the floor. And that's how good Wayne Rooney was. So I think Rooney did get away with to an extent with certain things. And other United players have, you know, even like the likes of Eric Cantona and that. But Rashford, I think it's the fact he's not been informed. This has been highlighted even more.
Well, I've said it so many times, this is the last we'll speak of it because we need to move on, but I've said it so many times, don't care what you're doing in your personal life, just don't let it affect what's going on the pitch, and I don't care.
That's the main thing.
As long as it doesn't affect what's going on,
yeah.
As soon as you're like missing training and not being in the game, then that's when it frustrates me. If you're playing well, if you're smashing goals in, you know, if you're playing as good as Wayne Rooney, I don't care. So it's one of them where it is one of them things where you've just got to know where to draw the line. But very happy with his performance today and a great goal. But on the goal he did score, great awareness from Rasmus Højlund, who now has 11 goal involvements for Manchester United, 9 goals, 2 assists, with 6 of those coming in the last 5 appearances, 4 goals, 2 assists. Not only looking good in front of goal in terms of being a penalty box striker, but linking up the play and actually looking around for his teammates as well.
Very good. You have to be there to get the tap-ins, right? And that's what the strikers are supposed to do. So, yeah, happy with him. And he nearly got another goal as well when he pressed the goalkeeper and made the goalkeeper made a mistake. Twice, actually, he did. So, yeah, real energetic player and really good. Just keep going like that.
I think I read earlier he's the youngest United player to score an assist in 2 consecutive games, which is a surprise. But
I honestly think, I've said this so many times on Højlund, but I think he's got such a bright future. His attitude, you could see it in his post-match interview then. He's got that leadership quality. He said, on his relationship building with the forwards, he said, if they pass and I'm not there, I've made an agreement with them that they can shout at me all they want, but if I'm there and they don't pass it, I can shout at them. And hopefully he's going to start to see more service. And one of the reasons for that could be Luke Shaw's reintroduction to the team, Ricky. We saw a cracking cross from Luke Shaw.
I mentioned during the games here, I wondered if he'll get the assist, Luke Shaw, because it took a nick off a defender before it hit Højlund, and he hasn't got the assist.
He should do, though.
He should get an assist for that, but it's brilliant piece of play back. And Rashford's involved in that as well.
Yeah, the Rashford-Luke Shaw link-up does well.
The third man pass, or whatever you want to call it. He's, you know, the assister of the assister. So give Rashford credit for that as well. There's lovely little ball to Shaw and Shaw. And that's how City play, and that's how what I see us doing more often, time and time again.
Kev, you can see that natural relationship between Shaw and Rashford, and talking about the best 11, I feel like that is definitely the best partnership on the left-hand side, and hopefully with them developing even further, that can feed into Højlund then, and more crosses coming in, because not only is Højlund, you know, good at being on the outside of the box and the inside of the box, he's really good at throwing his body at everything.
But in the last fan forum against Newport, one of the main things I looked at, and I'm saying, you know, what has Rasmus Højlund done to these other players that are around him? I'm like, you know, do they not like him? Or, you know, we had Garnacho who hits the bar, decides to take on a shot from a mad angle. Yes, he hits the bar or whatever, but I'm like, you know, the top teams don't do that. They walk the ball into the net. And Bruno Fernandes alluded to it after the game, said they got 2-0 up, everybody wanted to score. Rasmus finds himself in these situations because he is, it kills me, so I was going to say he's our kind of Haaland of Manchester City, but what I mean is he is that player that's in the box. And if these players get their heads up and look, which Luke Shaw did tonight, Rashford plays it into Shaw, he's there on top of the keeper. You know, it's not the easiest sort of goal on the eye, but he's there for a tap-in, and a goal is a goal at the end of the day. If these players get their heads up, he's there. I thought he set the tone for Manchester United today from the front, the press. Even when he closed the keeper down at one stage, you know, he nearly gets a goal out of that, doesn't he? It deflects, looked like it went in from where I am, and then, you know, it goes wide. But just them little things. I think even the first goal come from kind of Rasmus closing the keeper down, and did the ball go out of play for a throw-in, and it kind of come from that area. But so many times, the pressure that he put on them, and we've not had a striker like that for ages, somebody that's willing to run the channels and do all this work, and he fully deserved his goal this evening. Like
Solskjaer said, you want a striker that's going to break the nose for a goal, and I feel like he's that type of striker, and like you said, he's pressing everything like that. Almost Jose Sá made multiple mistakes because of his pressure, never stopped working, so good stuff from him. Let's Talk says Premier League stats for Bruno: 144 games, 47 goals, 35 assists. He's by far not the problem.
Give over.
Thank you, let's talk.
Give over.
Ryan Martin, member for 1 month. Rasmus Holdup plays top class. He's more creative than our wingers. They could learn from him. He's going to be a star. Rick with it says, Mainu, Rice, Bellingham in England midfield. Akhil Aravind, our first team is getting the season back. Kobe, Cassie, Bruno midfield. Brave from Eric Ten Hag. Less expectations still. Give Eric Ten Hag his first start in 11. United Elijah says Dallo was really poor today. I didn't think so, but I'd have to watch it back to know fully. Liam says...
I think he was watching the wrong game.
Liam says, Beth, do you think we should play Binder? Well, we're going to talk about that on Onana's mistake, because for the second goal, he should be saving it. I'm sorry. And it's just not good enough. But Han Kui Chan says it's because I didn't play. Anthony Tracy, our highest earners have massively underperformed. The kids have been delivering, and Ahmad will break through soon. Player fire sale to Saudi, please. International says this strong team exposes Eric Ten Hag is not the man. In-game management is poor. Only sub paid off was Scott. Should have kept Rashford on and took Nacho for Ahmad. And we're going to talk about in-game management as well. Thank you for that. Plus says Onana makes us less panicked in possession. Jim's91 says Onana and Antony doing their best to sabotage for us. Manchal says generally don't think Bruno was poor. Could have had 3 assists easy. And yes, should score, but these things can happen. Andy Kane says the keeper has to be benched. His confidence. Akash says the time has come to drop Onana for the next few games. We should have won 4-0. We made it hard work for this result. Bad game management. Mainu was pure class. I mean, I don't think we lost 4-3 because of Onana, but that second goal he should have done better on. And overall, you're just not too confident with him between the sticks, let's be honest. I mean, Faz, we'll talk about Onana. Passing out from the back was great, and he laid off some great balls, and sometimes we bypass Wolves with like 1 or 2 passes through his distribution. And Bruno was pivotal in that at times as well. Should have obviously finished our chances more, but in terms of actually between the sticks, I mean, what are your feelings on him right now?
What can I say today? It's a weird one because I don't really think he's the keeper that we need going forward for the future. It's not the type of keeper that you want to build on, considering the amount of mistakes he's made in Manchester United so far. Obviously, is it the second goal? Was it or the third goal? Neto's near post one. Was it the third goal?
I think. Third goal.
Third goal. I think he should have dived. He's so flat-footed. He's not even ready to dive anywhere. Even if the thing is, even if the ball was going far post, right, you would have seen his body shifting because he would have committed either side. He didn't commit to either side. He just stood where he stood. And we've seen this exact same snapshot so many times. I'm not saying that maybe, that he should have saved it, but I'm saying his action of a goalkeeper is to dive. Whether you save it or not is another thing. But he doesn't even do the action when it comes to saving a shot. Martinez saved him, in one of the opportunities as well, from clearing it nearly off the line. And he got lucky with the ball bouncing off his face for a save. Overall, though, I don't feel comfortable. And the sad reality is Eric is not going to play Binder at all, unless, touchwood, God forbid, if Onana gets injured, which I hope he doesn't, we're not going to see Binder at all, and this is what it's going to be. The passing, though, on the other hand, is really good, but the fact is, Onana isn't playing what we bought him for. He isn't, because the first.
I think today we started to see that with that full strength 11.
I'll tell you why. The first game of his, when he came to Manchester United, the first few games, he was not in his box. He was way out. He was an outfield player, or just about his edge of his box. Every goal that he conceded for the first 3 or 4 games, he went back 10 yards, and now he doesn't come out of his box at all. He'll come out to claim crosses and stuff, the odd crosses, but in terms of when the ball is out and playing, he doesn't come out. And I remember people specifically wanting ball-playing goalkeeper, to be out of the box, to be joining in with the defensive back line, to then create an additional support with the passes. But funny enough now, he doesn't come out at all.
To be fair,
It sounds ludicrous to me anyway. I'm old school.
You
want your goalkeeper joining in with your defenders.
Well, that's why we started at the start of the season.
That's how the game's
to be
changed.
fair as well,
It's
Martin
crazy,
has bailed him out on one of the corners where he came out in no man's land and did a great clearance.
Yeah,
but
he said that, yeah.
We'll talk about the back four in a second, because I do want to give them a big shout out today, even though we did concede 3 goals. They were great in my opinion. But Antony, Ricky, having a lot of stick. People saying it's one of the worst cameos they've seen. Come on, give the ball away multiple times. If I'm not wrong, he gave it away for the corner that led to one of the goals, and also give it away for the Neto goal, I think. I could be wrong, but from my memory, every time he got the ball, even on the left, he's just looking to cut in and shoot. For me personally, I can't understand why Ahmad hasn't got a kick. Ahmad should be playing over Antony at the moment, just based off pure ability and able to see out a match. Like, that nearly sabotaged us. And we're talking about in-game management here. And I actually thought, besides the McTominay sub, the in-game management was quite defeatist and poor from Ten Hag. I think he tried to see out the game too early. I mean, what is your opinions on Antony and also the in-game management from Ten Hag?
Obviously, Antony, the price that we've paid for him, you know, it's frightening, really. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how well he must have been playing for Ajax for us to agree. And whether that's the manager's fault.
This is what it boils down to,
I don't know. But I know some people, I'm sure a lot of people say, oh, it's only the Dutch league, he might have been playing great. I'd like to watch a few of them games. I wouldn't be surprised if he was playing pretty similar to what he's playing now. Yeah, maybe with a few extra assists or a few extra goals, but how many more assists or goals? I'd love to know, actually. I'll have a look at it later.
He didn't have that many.
No, I can't imagine he did. But
do you know what's mad to me? It's like, how, not only why is Ten Hag playing him over Ahmad, like, even Palistri, I understand he paid a lot of money for him, that's probably swaying him at United and he has to make it work, but how can you manage Kudus and Antony and decide to splash out on Antony?
Yeah.
Like, it's madness. I don't get that. That makes me question Ten Hag's talent ID in a certain area. Like, some of it I'm completely with him on. Like, obviously, Mainu, he's absolutely done. I mean, obviously, like, he had to involve him in the starting 11, you know. Some of his decisions, I agree with Ten Hag, but the Antony one, I can't wrap my head around it, Kev.
I think this is where the structure at Manchester United is just totally going to get ripped up, because I think under Sir Jim, Ineos, Omar Barrera coming in, they are going to look at this, and they've already alluded to mistakes that Manchester United have made in the transfer market. Even Omar Barrera has mentioned the fact that Manchester City were in for Harry Maguire. It was only when the bidding got to a certain point that Manchester City pulled out and said this player is never worth that. So that tells you everything you need to know about United and where we are. The fact that we ran the distance, paid over 80 million for Harry Maguire. I'm not just singling him out, just using him as an example, but obviously Antony falls into the same bracket because you're paying mega money. You know, somebody, I've said it before on here, somebody should have been there to rein this in. Or we spoke about it when we referred to machines and, is this machine better than, is he an upgrade? You were on about Elanga, and saying, is Antony an upgrade on Elanga?
We seem to have all our wingers the wrong way round.
Antony in the Eredivisie, like, he got Player of the Month like quite a few times. Like, not quite a few times. He got Player of the Month of the Eredivisie. He got Player of the Month for Ajax. Like, apparently he did do well over there, but obviously it's just a completely different.
What it boils down to is not a £90 million player, and Ten Hag's kind of made his bed here. This is his man. He's showing faith in him, but again, I keep saying, you can't keep it. You're banging your head against the wall. If you're not getting a performance on the field, you are using up a place in the team to facilitate a mistake that you have made in the transfer market, whether it's him or the club or whoever agreed that they signed it off and said, give that check over to Ajax, 90 million for this player. It's crazy. It really is. But
even though you've paid the money, it doesn't mean you have to play him. Like, he's now decided he's going to bench him because Garnacho and Rashford are playing better than him, obviously. I mean, he'd be silly if he didn't, because Garnacho and Rashford both are better than him. But not only that, I think now it's coming to the point where he's going to hinder the development of someone of talent. Like, I think Ahmad's really talented. I'd love to see him play more minutes. It seems like he's now took on the Palistri role where he's not getting a sniff. And this sort of, you've paid nearly over 80 million for him. Let's just draw a line in the sand. Sometimes signings don't work out. And I'm not saying Antony should never play a minute, because he's 22. He should be given time. And I hope he does get given some time. But right now he's not cutting it time after time. Today was horrendous. He should not be the first sub next game. It should be Ahmad. He deserves his chance as well. Do we agree on that?
100%.
And where was somebody to say, if he says, I want Antony 90 million, how many times have we said that? Where was somebody, like your director of football or whatever, to challenge Ten Hag and say, why do you want to spend this much money in one position?
About United, Kev.
Yeah, but you could say, you've got this Ahmad lad, you've got Palistri, at this stage you had Sancho, you've got Rashford, you've got all these players stacked in this area. Could this 90 million not be used in a better position? Can you not strengthen another area of the team? The same when we bought Jadon Sancho. I was excited at the time, but I'm thinking it's a hell of a lot of money. We need to reinvest some of that money needs to go into the centre of midfield. We were crying out for a central, midfielder, holding midfielder, whatever. And Man United seem to keep doing this the same way. You were interviewing, what was your man? Was it Chris Wheeler or whatever? And he was on about Mason Mount. You know, why have United spent 50 million on a player like Mason Mount? Where does he fit in? Did Ten Hag really want him? And again, it's just madness the way this club's run. That money, that 50 million, could have been spent somewhere else.
If getting onto Mason Mount, if Kobe doesn't get an injury, he's had an injury this season, hasn't he? And if Casemiro stays fit, even McTominay coming on as a sub for Casemiro, Mason Mount can't get in there in that position. He's the only position he can challenge for is Bruno's position. Yeah. And we don't want to start messing about by putting him on the wing or Bruno on.
Or it's Mason in for Bruno and it's Bruno on the right.
We've got that many wingers.
And then you're facilitating Bruno on the right where we know he's doesn't play his best football. It's crazy.
Well, Faz was talking before about him not being impressive, Bruno. I mean, personally, I love Bruno. Everyone knows that, but Mount's going to be competition for him now. Apparently Mount could be back next game to be reintroduced into the squad. It's going to be interesting because I do think Mount's a good player, but I struggle to see where he fits as well. He played his best football for Chelsea off the left, but then obviously Rashford's going to lock down that spot. Garnacho, you've got... It's going to be interesting. Connor Mayslod says Onana and Antony played for Eric Ten Hag before. Has Eric Ten Hag underrated the Premier League or overrated players? We were talking about before, Ricky, privately, weren't we? We were saying that. I asked Ricky the question, do you think he's underestimated the Prem? Now he's maybe realising. Carlson Charles says you could constantly hear Ten Hag screaming out of position Antony, only unpredictable and bad change, Ten Hag in. Shane Considine says Bruno giving it to players for taking shots against Newport and then he shoots direct from a free kick 40 yards out on a tight angle, straight out of play. Elton says blaming Onana for any of the goals means you've not played the game. The game management, Bruno and Garnacho made it difficult for the team. Jay Cool says if we keep this team for the rest of the season, we'll finish up the ladder. Ten Hag in all day. SMP says best game I've watched in years. Love you, Beth. You're the queen to the United stand throne. Put Faz in his place, basically, from Ireland. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, for your super chats coming in. Make sure you hit a like on the video. But, Ricky, Scott McTominay made a difference. Came on, scored a header to bring it to... Was it to bring it to...
3-1.
3-1 to kind of,
dusted when he scored that,
distance.
And I tweeted out at the time, that's McTominay's role. Come in, crash into the box. He can do well from there. I mean, what did you make of his performance, and do you agree that that should be his role at United?
I thought he played well when he came on. He ran well with the ball. 2 or 3 times he must have covered 30 or 40 yards with the ball and give a decent, simple pass. I pointed out to you a few times in the game, Bruno. Everybody seems to think that when I say I'm not a big fan of Bruno's, they think it's because he's just spraying the ball all over the field and trying too many long balls. But he doesn't concentrate enough on the simple passes. 4 simple passes today he got badly wrong. One to Luke Shaw, which was only a 15-yard pass, and the ball's on the floor, and inexplicably it went over Luke Shaw's head for a throw-in. It's just astonishing.
There's one we got,
and then when he broke through the inside left channel, and then right when McTominay comes on, I know he didn't come on for Bruno, but he's just giving the simple passes, and he actually gave one pass that I didn't even spot. Fast said, "Oh, that's a lovely little touch by McTominay there," and it set us off on the attack that actually led to the corner, and we scored from the corner. With the team we've got at the minute, I mean, I know I've just said the same about Mount, but if Casemiro did well again tonight, Mainoo's going to be a megastar. McTominay's role has got to be that, but just like Mount, I would have no problem whatsoever giving McTominay a run in place of Bruno. I would have no problem with it whatsoever.
You know, the funny thing is today, Bruno was making really good passes, long range. But when it came to just short range, simple passes, he was overcomplicating it. For example, a pass to Rashford. Rashford's running on the outside. He's got defended on the inside, and he decides somehow to figure out a pass on the inside, thinking Rashford's going to meet the ball. Pass the ball on the outside and wait for a fullback to come and help Rashford. And you've tried to pass it inside.
Easy ball.
Easy ball, that's one.
Kobe again, who would have done.
Again, Garnacho's running, bombing down the line, and Bruno's on the left-hand side. he doesn't have to do anything but just to slice the ball, so the ball just ends up rolling into the box, and Garnacho can meet it. He's tried to whip that ball, and the ball's ended up nearly at the corner flag. It doesn't make sense. The simple passes really doesn't make sense. Why? But then he comes up with this astonishing, no-look, over-the-top passes that people look at and think, wow, that is fantastic. But a couple
of them were.
Yeah, a couple of them, 100% they were.
I've said on here for a couple of years, I'm not interested in if you do 2 or 3 brilliant things. The best teams make the less mistakes. It's what's the phrase that Brailsford keeps using? Marginal gains.
Yeah.
They're talking about marginal gains behind the scenes.
I love that phrase.
I'm going to keep saying marginal gains on here. You never know. On any of them instances where you've given a simple ball away, if you'd have given the right ball correctly, that might have led to a goal for us. You never know when that moment is.
Yeah, because
and that's how City work, it's how Liverpool work. Keep the ball, keep passing it simple, keep moving it round.
Well, if you're talking about marginal, it's the marginal gain that McTominay brought on is the reason why we got the corner and we ended up getting the goal. It's a very small thing, but that leads to such a big thing.
Exactly, Faz.
I do actually think, I've not usually when I watch McTominay I'm disappointed, but tonight I thought he came on and his cameo was very good, and that's exactly his profile. I've always said he is someone you bring off the bench either to defend, to defend you a game, to see it out, or because he's got that height in the box, he can get himself about, or you bring him on to be a crash into the box sort of second striker and get you a finish, and that's what he should do. He shouldn't be anywhere near the starting 11 in my opinion, but off the bench I think he's a good player. He can be a good substitute to bring on. But here's one for you. The last 3 90th minute winning goals in the Premier League by players aged 18 years old or younger have all come from Man United players. Rashford versus Hull in 2016, Garnacho versus Fulham in 2022, and Kobe Mainoo versus Wolves in 2024.
Wow.
And today, 3 out of the 4 goal scorers were from the academy, Carrington graduates, McTominay, Rashford and Mainoo. And then you have Hoyland, who's 20 as well, sealing a deal on that. So good stuff from our academy and our youth and our young players. I know McTominay isn't young now, but it's good to see that has been a shining light through this season. Rashford's not as well, and people forget that, don't they?
Well, that's the mental stat, isn't it? That since the days as the great Sir Matt Busby, Manchester United have always named a product of the youth academy in the matchday squad, which is something that's has gone on, like I say, since the days of Sir Matt Busby. It's unbelievable. No other team can come close to that, really.
I mean, Kev, my voice is going. Kev, our defence today, Lissandro.
You've been out on the piss.
I've actually not been. I don't know, producers giving me their cold maybe. I don't know what's going on. But one thing, too much shouting at you during the game. But no, I mean, our defence, you look at it, that back 4, it's the defence of last season in terms of the back line that was doing very well for us. Dalot, Varane, Martinez and Luke Shaw, Kev. Is that our best back 4?
I think some people would possibly argue. I think the only one that there's an argument over, Luke Shaw, every day of the week gets in at left back. There is no.
Don't say there's an argument for Dalot and Wan-Bissaka.
No, I was going to say we're going off personal preference. Varane and Martinez picked themselves at centre back. I'm sure this man here will try fitting in Johnny Evans at some stage, but I'd say the one from a fan's perspective probably is Dalot and Wan-Bissaka. I really did. The mix. Listen, Faz will say Dalot every day of the week, but you could say horses for courses. It depends what team you're playing, and that's what Manchester United have at the minute. You've got a player in Dalot who I believe is better at getting forward. You've got Wan-Bissaka who's better defensively.
He's not though. He's not just better. He's a better 1v1, but in other aspects of defensive capabilities, in terms of positional sense, where to be, anticipation, being in the box off corners.
Who, Dalot?
Dalot's better.
How many times has Dalot been caught in the back post?
Well, he has been okay, but so's Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka, absolutely 1v1. Wan-Bissaka's a better defender, of course, but it's not just going forward. As an all-round player, better on the ball, better at playing out from the back. Dalot's better.
Even when you pass the ball better, if you're a defender and you pass the ball better from your final third and give it away less often, or even give a better pass to your teammate, so your teammate has got no difficulty in getting the ball under control or having to turn to get it, like I've seen I was going to say I've seen Wan-Bissaka, but I've seen all players do that. Nobody gets it right every time. But Dalot's a better passer of the ball. So even though you're talking about defending, that is part of defending, because if the more often you get that pass wrong, then you're still defending. If you get the pass right, then you're moving up the field.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think Dalot just has a higher ceiling, in my opinion.
I believe so.
But everyone's obviously entitled to their own opinion. I just personally, for me, when I'm watching the game, and what I value in a football player is I want someone to be good on the ball, have good vision, It's just like Dalot's just technically so much better, and you're so much more comfortable with him. But I still like Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a good player.
I just think it is an argument. If you had a load of United fans and you were discussing this, I don't think it would be 100%. Everybody would be like Dalot over Wan-Bissaka. It would be kind of split slightly.
I think if you have to ask the whole fan base, I think Wan-Bissaka would probably win the argument, just because I think people like that 1v1 side that he brings. But I mean, do you agree it's the best back four, Faz?
Yeah, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt. Everybody is good on the ball. You don't see sometimes if you have a back line where one player is not that good on the ball, it creates too much pressure on the other three, and then automatically the opposition's going to think, okay, if the ball ends up on his feet, he's the trigger to start the press.
Breeds uncertainty.
Thank you. Yeah, that's it. Whereas with this back line, every single player is very much competent on the ball, very much competent at defending, very much competent at progressing the ball forward, carrying it forward. So it's just what it is. This is the football that the manager wants to play. Whether you want Bissaka over Dalot or not, the fact is this back line allows the football that we want to play, and we've just played 45 minutes of fantastic football. So
Martinez and Varane just complement each other so well, and I don't really want to mention him. I'm going to compare him slightly to a Vidic and a Ferdinand. You've got Varane, who's
stretch.
Ferdinand, carrying the ball out. I'm not for 1 minute saying that, the bang on and the like that. You've then got Martinez, who is this sort of figure at the back.
Wow.
Exactly a bit like Nemanja Vidic. I would say that, yeah. Aggressive. You've got the aggressive one. You've got somebody who can carry the ball out from the back.
Last week on the second goal, this is for Newport. There's a ball knocked up to a player with Martinez. Martinez was on his back, and the lad moved away from Martinez, and he saw his mate in the middle being marked by Varane, and he passed it to the guy who was being. These are fourth division players, and he passed it to the guy who's being marked by Varane, and he got hold of the ball, and then he laid it off, and they ended up scoring from it. And these two lads have got, I think they both got World Cup winners medals, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know One thing I would say,
Martinez has just come back from injury.
You can always make a case they were great today.
They're both good players. But, and I've said this on here many times, you're not going to rule out every goal. You're not going to stop every goal. You need to keep obviously you want to concede at least goals as you can, as least as possible. But they've been back in the team for 2 games, and the goals against column has gone up. It has gone up. There's no two ways about it. 5 goals in 2 games is 2.5 goals a game.
Because we're playing more expansive football with them in the team, and we're taking more chances. When we had the likes of, Johnny Evans and Maguire at the back, do you see the type of football we played? Literally stuck 11 players behind the ball. Today we're actually trying to play football away from home. That's why I feel like we're conceding more. I watched this game and I thought, even though we conceded 3 goals, which we have to stop doing that.
We didn't concede a goal until they got that penalty, did we? That's not because of our way of playing.
No, but I thought...
All I'm saying is you are going to concede some goals. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I thought Varane and Martinez today were absolutely excellent, both of them. I just hope, touch wood, Martinez is okay. We saw him getting iced. We hope that's just precaution. But Varane was so crucial as well. Both of them together, it's the partnership more than anything. Like good individual players, but I think, like you said, Kev, as a partnership, they work so highly together. That penalty, by the way.
I was just going to say, I don't want to change the subject too slightly, but now that you've mentioned the penalty, did everybody think it was a penalty here? Because I've seen it kind of 3 or 4 times, and I'm looking and...
I can't tell that he touches him, but I've got to bring up a conversation that I had with... I managed to catch the second half of the Liverpool-Chelsea game in the pub last night. Not the second half, the last half hour I saw of it. And I think it was Van Dijk who kicked the Chelsea striker from behind inside the penalty box. And that was definitely more contact than that tonight. Definitely more contact. Didn't kick him viciously or anything, but the lad had his back to Van Dijk, pretty sure it's Van Dijk. The ball was in front of him, and he just kicked the back of his leg, and the lad collapsed on the deck, Maybe he didn't have to collapse on the deck. But I said this to people in the pub. The commentators and the people in the pub were saying it isn't enough. In the rule book, it just says that you're not allowed to kick your opponent. Doesn't say how hard. Yeah. You're just not allowed to kick your opponent. And a simple question, if you saw it, did he kick him or didn't he kick him? Did you see it?
He kicked him.
I've seen it a few times.
He did kick him. Doesn't matter how hard.
Is this the Casemiro one?
No, this is last night.
I was going to say.
So what I'm saying tonight is, I couldn't even tell if there was any contact or not.
That's what
I mean? You know, it's just so...
There was contact. There was contact.
I'm sorry, but VAR... And I'm not necessarily just blaming the technology, because I think the technology, if it was actually utilised by capable people, could be used very well. But it's not utilised by capable people, I'm sorry. And Wolves have had decisions go against them all season. They have, I've seen it, fair play, so have we. But that decision tonight was an absolute joke. Bear in mind, what annoys me is when they have a little bit of a controversial decision, the next game, the similar thing will happen and they'll completely change it. At least keep the consistency how you're going throughout. And I'm not even just talking across. You should expect the consistency across a whole season. I'm talking about consistency in the same game week here. Like that Liverpool one yesterday, like you said. How can you not give them and give the one today? You can't offer me an explanation that I will take rather than thinking, you've thought to yourself, we probably should have given them yesterday, so I'll give this one today. I don't care what it is. I don't like
consistency.
The consistency is so poor, and the people that are handling this need to be seriously looked at, and they need to go through whatever course they need to go through again, because and people say it's a hard job. We always have something to say. That is a disgrace. I'm sorry, it's a disgrace, and I won't take any explanation for it.
Like Ricky said, in the rule book, it says if contact is made, it's a penalty, and if any contact is made away from the ball on the player's body, leg, it's a penalty. Contact was made. It's not enough. The forward clearly did enough for him to make it act out like it was a hard one, but it wasn't. So I can understand the decision that the ref gave, because in the moment it's happening so quick. If you look at the action in real time, you see Cass's foot just bounce off his shin guard area. So maybe that's why he looked at it and thought. Also, don't forget, refs are looking at players on the pitch and thinking, right, he's a rough player, he's got a tackle on him, he's a soft player.
Casemiro.
So the ref, and weirdly, right, psychologically, maybe in the back of his mind, he's thought Casemiro's playing today. Cass has got red cards before. Cass has made some tackles already in the game, don't forget. He's made some really good tackles, strong tackles already. Kobe's a strong player as well, goes in tackles, and he's probably in the heat of the moment seen it, because he didn't stop and think, right? I'm beyond sick of VAR. So I'm analysing it microscopic level. Right. He's in the heat of the moment, it's happened, and he's given it straight away. Usually, or in another scenario, you would see a ref pause. You'd see him stop and think, did I actually see what I think I saw at the level, at the impact of which I think I saw it? Okay, I didn't. Right, VAR, have you got a couple of visuals for me? Can I run it and check it past you? VAR, then look it. When a referee called it that quick, VAR usually don't go against the ref, right? They don't like to go against the ref in certain decisions like this on the pitch, especially when he's giving it that quick. It's happened and he's just giving it. I think the mistake is, the reason why VAR is there, it allows you to not make an impulsive decision. It allows you to go and check. So what he should have done is communicated that and gone and seen, and then maybe the decision would have been different. I don't think it's a penalty. I definitely don't think it's a penalty, but this is the issue.
No, in the moment you can get decisions wrong. That's why VAR was brought into play. But how can you watch that in slow motion 10 times and still gather it's a penalty? Or not even send him to the monitor to decide.
I think this is where the argument is strengthened of having ex-players in that VAR room, because there's so many ex-pros you listen to.
Just teach someone how to read it properly.
Yeah.
Like, it's not an issue.
Game.
I can look at it.
You'll have players that have played football that will say that is not a penalty, or he's won that one. Like you say, how many times have you seen the likes of Michael Owen, Harry Kane? They win penalties. Oh, he's been clever there. He's gone down. Jack Grealish, he's clever there. Gary Neville, saying it, brilliant play from Jack Grealish. He's clever. But then the next game week, like you say, somebody else will drop down. It's a dive, that. Book him. Put him in the book. Make an example of him. He's been kicked. Yeah, he might have thrown himself down a bit easy, but
football used to
drive you insane.
Football used to have a level of toughness. A level of grit, a level of aggression that fans would enjoy. You know, scratching, blood. You know, Lampard when Ronaldo stomped on him and he said to the ref, "It's okay, it's not a ball, I'm okay." You know, it had that level. What VAR has done is made. I'm really sorry to put it like that. A generation of softies. That's what it's made, because that's what it is. The impact is barely enough for the players to even feel anything, because he's touched his shin pad. You're not even going to feel it. But because he knows that Casemiro's done it, he's jumped up and fell, and the referee's gone, "Oh wow, okay, penalty." But back in the day, like even before VAR, a couple of years before, these things wouldn't have been penalty. Look at Lisandro Martinez, right? Remember the one where ball bounced off his leg and hit his arm, and they gave a penalty? Well, if a ball is touching your feet first and then goes to your arm, it's never. It's never. And they blatantly saw it and did it. That's the reason why VAR is you know so poor.
It's inconsistent.
It's frustrating. We will do our man of the match in a second, running out of time, but Ten Hag on the display. If you are dominating the game and leading 2-0 and 3-1, you cannot allow the opponents to get back. That is naive. It's no good, and we have to work on it. I'm very pleased with the levels we achieved in the first 60 minutes. So Ten Hag addressing himself, saying the first hour was the best. Like, we did drop off, and saying the naivety, and he seemed a bit frustrated with the goals we conceded. And Ricky, rightly, you should be, because can I just finish and say that this game as well now contributed. We've only one game all season we've won by a margin of more than one goal. So it's always tight. And that was 3-0 away at Goodison Park. Today you would have thought, we would have kicked on and finished the chances we were creating, but no, they end up getting back into the game. And Wolves are a good side, but still, it's not right that this keeps happening, is it?
No, it's not right. No, the in-game management's not good enough. You asked me that earlier and I didn't get around to it. There's numerous things, like I think we've already mentioned that, sending the centre-backs up for a corner when there's 2 or 3 minutes to go and we're winning 3-2. We don't really need to score another goal. We've got the centre-backs in the box. Let the centre-backs stay back and let's, why even put the ball in the box with 2? Most teams with 2 or 3 minutes to go, they don't know what's going to go up. They put 10 minutes up, didn't they, for 9 minutes up for injury time. But, most teams, when they play 2 up, they get the ball in the corner and they try and keep it in the corner and try and win another corner or try and win a throw-in, don't they? And we're putting it in the box. Yeah. Can't believe it. It reminded me of the World Cup when Japan got knocked out by it's a long story.
Regulon's just commented on Kobe Mainoo's Instagram post saying, "What an effing player."
I will tell you that one.
Go on.
I was watching a World Cup quarter-final in Russia, right? And the Japanese have got a corner. They're drawing 2-2 and they're playing Belgium. The Belgium have got loads of big players and the Japanese haven't. And they got a corner. And now, I'm just a fan. Now, they've got a coach who's being paid God knows how much money. And it's the last minute. And I'm thinking, surely they're not going to cross this. Surely, take the extra time. You're not... And they crossed it, the keeper caught it, threw it up the pitch, and they scored. And I'm a fan in the... Well, not in the... I was watching on the telly, but I'm a fan just thinking, surely to God you're not going to cross this. Now, tonight we've done the same thing, really.
We are.
The keeper didn't catch it and throw it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We are too naive. It's honestly, it sends my head to the moon a lot of the time, and thank God for Kobe Mainoo, because seriously, I would have been...
Listen, if
I would have been happy with the performance in the first half, but I would have been frustrated. It's the same mistake.
Can I ask you then, if obviously the moment of individual brilliance occurred and we're very thankful and grateful for it, but if that didn't happen, would you guys have been speaking on the substitutions he made?
Yeah, I said to Ricky before we went live that I wasn't happy with the in-game management today. The only sub that I understood was McTominay. The others, I mean, Forson, bless him, did well, came on, got the assist for Kobe's goal, but he made it himself, really. And that nutmeg was just silly good and everything, the composure. But I would have been sat here saying, very happy, probably our best first half all season, which isn't hard because we've been so poor. I can see potential, we did the right things, but again, it's just switching off and that
what if it finished 3-3, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
I'd
think
have been raging.
some of the subs he made just didn't make sense.
Something else about that sub, I've got to say it, and people are going, Bruno. I'm not Bruno bashing. Let's just pretend. I'm talking about.
That's a thing now.
I'm talking about the positions that these people are playing on the field. So McTominay, I don't know if Casemiro could have carried on. I don't really know whether he had to go off or not. Maybe that's the case. If it is the case, then I'll let him off. But he's got Casemiro on, and he's got Kobe Mainoo on. We're winning the game, aren't we, at that stage? And Bruno is the one who's further forward. Now, surely, just stop. Stop your bias about Bruno. I'm talking about the position that he's playing in. Surely it's that player who you bring off, so you then go like that. You don't take off
an extra man in midfield.
I think
what's the point of swapping? You're leading. You're taking off a defensive player. Let's be honest.
Like for like.
It's sort of like for like, but McTominay's more attacking than Casemiro, isn't he?
It's because Casemiro was on a yellow and he's only just come back from fitness.
There might be other reasons.
He's only just come back from injury, and I think he was just kind of had taken. The one that stuck out to me massively was taking Højlund off when you're trying to keep possession, because Højlund was holding up the ball really well, and he's that someone you can target up front to kind of hold the ball up for you, and we had nothing like that, so it just kept coming back to us from Wolves. So that was weird. I don't know if it's because he's just trying to protect him, but I just think some of the subs were strange tonight. But anyway, we end up winning the game. We've run out of time. Lastly, guys, we'll just quickly one-word answers.
This has to be a clean sweep.
Our man of the match, everyone.
Yeah, Kobe.
Kobe
Mainoo.
Kobe Mainoo.
I will never get bored of sitting on this panel and saying, hopefully there's many more, but Kobe Mainoo.
I'm going to be honest, right? Okay, Kobe Mainoo.
Unbelievable.
He's up there for me, but I think Højlund was up there as well. Goal, assist, played super well. It's a tough. I'd give it joint Højlund and Mainoo, because Kobe was just.
No, you have to pick one. You can't get away with it.
Well, considering you've all gone Mainoo, I'll give it Højlund just to give him a bit of a shout out. But Mainoo's pure class as well. But lastly, a couple of super chats. SNP says, thank you for your super chat. Hangui Chan, sick of my team. Dallo plus 50 million more for me now. Liam says,
Give over, never.
Beth, you're the queen of the United stand. Thank you very much. Told you says, I like my defenders, good at defending. Maybe like we wouldn't hold so many goals if they did their jobs. It was so funny because people in the comments were saying, Beth hating on Wan-Bissaka. No, I'm not. He's a good player. I just have my preferences. Visa says, Beth, my girlfriend says you've come a long way since your first show. Kudos. Thank you very much. Dan, Edie says, Onana out. Eddie says, best game we've played in terms of build-up and creating chances. If we were more clinical, this game would have been done at half-time. Prantec Gaming, we really need sporting director so we don't buy players which don't suit the team, system and over budget. Love your content, guys. The Grouse, welcome to United Stand Members Club. Connor McLeod says, thank you for your super chat, everyone. But thank you, guys. What a show. And lastly, I just wanted to say, Martinez and Casemiro did make a big difference today. I don't think we forgot to say that, but yeah.
Huge.
But we got through everything. Ricky, thank you very much.
Thank you. Enjoyed it.
See you at the next game, yeah?
Yeah.
Kev, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And Faz, as always, thank you very much. Loved it. OG kind of panel back tonight. So yeah, thank you for that. But thank you everyone in the chat as well. We are nothing without your support and without the community. Make sure you hit a like on the video if you did enjoy it. Make sure you stay tuned for all the stuff coming tomorrow. We've got morning show, Ten Hag's press conference for the West Ham game right around the corner. Have a lovely rest of your evening. You've got 8 minutes of it left till midnight. And yeah, thank you. Thank you everyone, and I will see you on the next one.